Midweek Connection. Well, today we're out at Whitman Mission, and behind me you can see Max and Box Stables, where we like to go and meet on Sundays for our worship gatherings. But this is a beautiful perspective up here, and I wanted to share that with you as we're out here today for our Midweek Connection. Well, I hope you enjoyed the viewpoint that we had up there on top. We're down here in a really beautiful pathway, and just as a great setting for what I want to share with you today. Many years ago, my mother loved to embroider things, and she embroidered for us, for Miss Pam and me, a picture for our home that was entitled the Serenity Prayer. And I think probably many of you know the Serenity Prayer, and I'm going to quote it here in a moment, but it was a prayer that my mom really loved. It was a prayer that she lived her life by, and the truth of the Serenity Prayer helped her get through a lot of difficult circumstances and troubling times. And I think especially after she lost her husband, my dad, back in 1983. And it became a source of comfort for her. And so I'm just thinking, you know, for some folks that are out there today that may be looking in, that you may be going through some difficult times, maybe looking for some answers to some questions that, well, there aren't really answers for. The truth of this Serenity Prayer really follows scriptural lines. It's not out of the Bible, but it reflects the heart of the Bible. And I wanted to just share it with you today is to be a source of encouragement. And what I really love for you to do is write it down. It's very short, but I'd love for you to write it down and have it where you can see it. You can go online and get it too. I mean, we're living in a great day where you can get a lot of resources. But the prayer goes like this. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I want to break that down into phrases, and so the first phrase would be, God grant me the serenity. I think the person who created this prayer really had it right when it said, address God first. When you're in trouble, when you're hurting, when you don't have answers to questions, go to the Lord. Go to God to seek His help and His comfort, no matter what the situation might be that you are involved in. And sometimes there are things that happen that we can't wrap our minds around. We're human, and we're just not at a place where we can understand everything. And so we seek God for His help first and foremost. It says then that we need serenity. Grant me the serenity, Lord. What's serenity anyway? Well, I looked it up in the dictionary today, and it talked about peace and quiet, and it talked about undisturbed. And I really like that because serenity is different than peace. We always talk about we want peace. But serenity is something that goes deeper than peace. It is given by God. That's why we ask Him for His help. And so He gives us this amazing ability to be able to deal with things even though we can't change them. Nothing disturbs serenity. As I said, it's given by God, therefore it cannot be taken away. The second part of that first phrase goes, to accept the things I cannot change. So with the gift of serenity, I'm able to accept circumstances as they are, not as I want them to be or think they should be. I accept them for what they are. I just did a funeral this last weekend for a man who was only 54 years old. Kind of hard to understand why somebody 54 years old dies, but you know what? We have to accept that as a fact. We can't do anything to bring him back. And so we have to be able to, with God's help, with the serenity that He gives to us, to accept those things that we cannot change. When we come to the place where we stop trying, that's where we stop playing God. And none of us can change what has already happened. It's a fact. We can't change it. And so what we have to do is trust God to help us to deal with our loss. The next phrase says, courage to change the things that I can. So there are some things that we have to accept as they are. There's no way that it's going to change. That's just the way it is. But we need courage to be able to change the things that we can. Courage requires more of me than I'm able to deliver. There's nothing wrong to admit that. But courage is something that God can give to us. And I'm thinking of in Joshua, where the Lord tells Joshua to be strong and to be bold and to be courageous, because I am with you. And so with courage, we are able to change things, which usually means change me and my attitude and how I'm dealing with the situation. Change me, O Lord. Change my heart, O God. The Apostle Paul said it so well. He said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that, as believers, is where we go to when we need courage. We know that we can't muster it up ourselves, but we know somebody who can help us. And that is our precious Lord. I always like it, Psalm 23, where it says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me. God is always with us no matter what, willing to help us to have courage and to move on. I want you to be encouraged today. Maybe it's just a change of the attitude that needs to take place, but if you'll make that, God will definitely help you in that process. And then the last phrase that comes to us is, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's a really powerful truth right there. The wisdom to know the difference. Wisdom is God speaking to us. Wisdom is not knowledge. Knowledge we can get, we can study, we can read, we can get knowledge. But wisdom truly comes from God. In fact, in James chapter 1 verse 5 it says, if any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given. Wow, that's a beautiful thing to know, that God is with us, and as that we face the realities of our situation, he will give us wisdom, and wisdom is always truth. Wisdom is always truth. So as we journey through this process of life and all of the circumstances and the difficulties that we encounter, we know that God is going to be able to give us the wisdom to be able to successfully negotiate the trail that is before us. That's what God's all about. That's what he wants to do to help us. And that's a good word today as we look at the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things that I can. And wisdom to know the difference. Well, in this very beautiful, serene type place, I wish you a great day and a great week. And if you need to, just take this Serenity Prayer out. Pray at any time, remembering the truth that we shared in here together today. And I hope that it will be a great source of encouragement to you. So I just say to you again, happy trails to you and stay narrow.